Good morning, quilt people and seekers of the world. How are you? I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Excited about today's topic, the Ascended Master's Mind. And while I personally don't proclaim to be an Ascended Master, I certainly have been around people who have been doing this work at a level far greater than I to be able to witness what that looks like. And it's awesome. I mean, when you watch somebody who has truly stepped into their power and can begin to manifest everything that they want on a Christ level, and it's undeniable what they're doing, it is awesome. It is absolutely awesome to witness somebody on that level. The Ascended Master, we all know who they are. We all know what they do. We all know what their habits are. They're well portrayed throughout all of history. I mean, even in Kung Fu Panda, right? That little, red panda. He's the Ascended Master, and he's what? He's up on his mountaintop, and he is doing what? He's associating with his own personal power. He is meditating. He has stepped away from the city and all of the chaos that man brings to us. That level of chaos is never helpful. The Ascended Master's mind does not, associate with or attach to the human ego. And anywhere the human ego is existing and screaming and yelling and operating from good and bad and right and wrong, that is not a space that the Ascended Master views as healthy. So the Ascended Master would not participate in that. And they certainly wouldn't put, their container in near anything that's vibrating of that. The Ascended Master's mind is different. The Ascended Master's mind is under their control. Most people in the Western world don't even recognize that they have the choice to change their mind. They just feel their feelings and, oh well, that's the way it is. They're not choosing their feelings. They're not choosing their moods. They're not directing their own lives consciously. They're just being affected by the matrix, and they're like, oh God, this is terrible. I mean, look at all that this is going on. It's just all this awful stuff out in the world, and and that's a choice. But most people don't see it as a choice. They default to what is, and that's the way it is. The Ascended Master never attaches to what is. They attach to what could be, because they understand in and of themselves they can choose anything. That the matrix is under their control. They're not under control of the matrix. So ego death has to be kind of the first step of the Ascended Master, to evolve the mind beyond seeing things as good and bad and right and wrong. I had a client send me a video of themselves out in the world doing justice and, speaking truth to power. And, he was really proud of himself for being able to stand up for his fellow man. And while most of the Western world would see that as good and would, applaud that behavior, all I see is toxicity. Justice is just another word for revenge. There's no goodness there. Anything that lives with the energy of complaint has the capability to be destructive on a level that we can't even necessarily comprehend. Never, never, never use words that resonate with complaint. You are destroying your life. You are destroying everything that you've set up in terms of trying to manifest and bring in goodness. Check yourself. My client wasn't checking himself when he was standing at that podium and yelling at all those city, lawmakers and whomever else. Because in order to stand there and stand in complaint and let those people know, let those council people know that they're doing it wrong, Look at my energy signature. You cannot step into that level of complaint without destroying your inner peace. Your inner peace needs to be the thing that you protect the most, because it's from that place that all else comes. Do not participate in justice. Do not help others. That is all chaos. Yes, you can help others if they come to you asking for your help, and that help can be delivered in a high vibration way. But any helping that comes from the kernel of complaint is just more chaos, and that's what we're trying to end in the world. It's not complicated. Be peaceful. Otherwise, we will never have peace. Fixing, fighting, trying to help, trying to be, involved in justice causes. That is all toxic energy, and you should not be filling your container with that. Even when you're trying to help. No. Do not help others. Be silent. Be still. Be quiet. Check in here, right? Because your work doesn't live out there. Your work lives in here. You should not be focused on what's out there. You shouldn't even see those council members. They have nothing to do with you. It is not your job. Your job is to fix you, not to fix the world. Fix you and you will fix the world. That's the portal in which it actually is done, right? But we're all out in the world trying to fix and fight and correct and do better and help and participate in justice. And while all of that sounds really like, oh, maybe that's what we should be doing, it's really not. Because you can't do any of that without filling yourself with revenge, right? With complaint. No. Be quiet. Be here. Associate with your own personal power, knowing that all things stem from this place. And if this place is not the vibration of still water, you are not an ascended master. You are not doing your work. Your work lives in stillness. How many hours a day are you spending in stillness? Everything you're after, everything you seek, everything you want in life is found there, in stillness. Not fixing others, not fighting others, no. Fixing and fighting in here, not fixing and fighting out there. Do not let any of that goad you into being a terrible human, because that's what it is. You see terrible humans, you want to get in there and participate, and you can't do so without also being terrible. End the crazy, end the chaos. End this human association with the ego that can only view things as good and bad and right and wrong. Your opinions are what's making you unhappy. And that was so shocking to me when I first started studying shamanism, is they're you're not allowed an opinion on anything. Not the world, not politics, no, because they view opinions as too costly to your soul. Too costly to your soul to have an opinion on outside matters. That's not you. That's not your work. That's not where anything that you should be attaching your mind to lives. Because that's always going to be crazy, right? Because humans are just kind of crazy. That's always going to be crazy. That's always going to be insane. And you can't participate in the crazy without being crazy. So stop. Stop. Get centered. Know who you are. Know where your power lives. And it's not in fixing and fighting the world. It's in fixing what's in here that all else gets fixed. It's fixing the projector right, of your mind and everything that you're seeing, so that you're only seeing that which you are in aligned with. That's where change happens. So it's in understanding what's not you and what is you, and what are you responsible for in the world and what are you not responsible for in the world. Anything outside of your container is not you. Anything outside of your container is not your work. Your work is here in home base. Home base is only focused on your vibe, and to entertain opinions, to entertain justice, to entertain crazy, to entertain chaos is not the place where the ascended master's mind lives. It's a choice. It is very much a choice, but again, we have not been shown enough examples of what it means to change your mind. Most people will sit in their, flavor of the day, whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, whether it's anything that's associated with the ego. If you're not seeing perfection in every single moment, unless you're being physically attacked, if you're not seeing perfection when you're just living your life, you're not in the ascended master's mind. You're in the ego mind. What's you? What's not you? Anything out there is not you. Do not involve yourself in that which is not you. There's no healing there. There's no love there. Right? To fill ourselves and to be master and commander of everything that happens within us, right? That is where we want to be in directing our lives, not the lives of others. Stop involving yourself with others. They are not your cause. They are not your work. Stay home. Stay focused. Because you can try and fix and fight the world, and that's what most people try and do, or you can align to what it is and where you're going. But you can't do both. You can't be out there fixing and fighting the world and then also trying to align with going to a new place. I mean, that's just vibrationally not possible, because you're asking your soul to be in both chaos and love at the same time, and you can't. And if you try and do that, you will only be in chaos. It's understanding the paradigm shift away from the human ego. And again, the human ego cannot understand consciousness without itself. And if you have only ever inhabited the ego mind and have never evolved to the place where everything is as it should be, everything is correct, and if there's something you don't like, you change it within yourself to either understand it differently or manifest something differently. Those are your options. End the chaos, end the war. We gotta be peaceful. We can't continue like this. And you're like, well, how do I help? Well, how do you help? Be a way shower. Show people it's possible to get to where you're going through alignment, peace, and love. It's not complicated. But again, we just haven't been shown enough examples of what that looks like. So the Ascended Master's mind, it is quiet, it is clear, it is in an active state of manifesting and changing what is into what could be. When we first started really looking at how to manifest our hopes and dreams, right, because that was really a big thing for me. I really wanted to be able to kind of just like, here it is. And the first steps towards that was understanding where we're going, the North Star. And I have been continually surprised by the importance of that concept, because it's in there that you see the future, that you create the future, that you bring about the future. Vision boards work because of one concept. And that's taking what's in your mind and bringing it into the physical plane. Not hard to understand, right? Your hopes and dreams, they can't attach to the physical plane, to the actual acquiring of those things, until you yourself bring it into the physical plane. And so a vision board is one great way to do that. And say, yep, here universe, here's imagery of things that I see my future as being. And it's no longer going to just live in my mind. I'm going to actualize it by bringing it into representation of these images. When we build on that, when that's the starting place, we can then turn ourselves into the same power as that board. We turn ourselves into, the pictures and ideas and the concepts and the offering from our mind into the physical plane. And that's using our words and our vibrations and, all of these things that we know how to do now. Again, that's a very still and quiet exercise. We're not out in the world yelling, seeing things as wrong, seeing things as right. Everything is as it should be. Everything is perfect. The evolution of mankind is perfect. And for you to say otherwise is to appoint yourself as king of the earth. We've seen what that looks like. It's not a very healthy place, is it? That has nothing to do with you. All the politics, all of the, outrage, nothing to do with you. And while you might be surrounded by people who are engaging in that and spewing that into their ethers and coloring their future with that vibration, right? They're all doing it to themselves. And it becomes this cycle of chaos and crazy that just spins faster and faster and faster and faster the more we try and fix it and fight it. You can't win at a game that's rigged. And all that, it's all rigged. It's all shots called by somebody else that you're being asked to accept. Well, okay, I don't want to play that game, so I'm just not going to participate in it at any level. It's not me. It has nothing to do with me. So I'm going to stay home and mind my own business and stay focused on who I am, what I'm all about, the vibration that I want to be in the world, and to be a way shower forward of how to make this all better without fixing and fighting. I've recently had the opportunity to come into contact with a very special man who runs Merkaba retreats and Merkaba in Texas and Mexico. It is a plant medicine retreat, and they are very keen to help people evolve in their consciousness. They describe the plant medicine retreat as 20 years of therapy in 6 days. So I am excited to have one of their retreats here at my home, July 7th through 13th, 2025. But we also have other retreats that we're going to be doing all around the world, and I'm hoping to go and participate in that in May so that I can, I really feel like this is, for me, the next step. And I can't wait to do a video like this once I've had the opportunity to go through those ceremonies, because I just have so much leftover PTSD, which manifests as very reactionary behavior. I have, just leftover pieces of trauma and just bad story, right? A really bad story. And while I lived it as truth for a long time, I'm ready to let all of that go. I'm ready to step into forgiveness for, my parents for not knowing how to be good parents. They just weren't shown themselves. They didn't know. So if you've ever had an interest in really cleansing your mind and your brain, quite frankly, because some of these chemicals are the only compounds on Earth that they have discovered that actually regrow brain tissue. and, create neural pathways in a more healthy manner for yourself. It's like giving your brain a deep scrub, right? And getting rid of all of the trauma and getting rid of all of those limiting beliefs and getting rid of all this stuff that's holding you back. If you haven't explored the world of plant medicine, I'm just starting to now. You can just stay tuned here and watch as I go through this, or you can come along with me on the journey and participate in one of these retreats that is really going to be quite transformational. Just the studies that I have, looked at, and the people I have talked to, and how people who are addicted to heroin and other really super heavy drugs, will do some of these once and never use again. The science on this is profound. And we are just moving this now into a more mainstream type of environment, but we have to be really careful in how we advertise it and go about speaking about it, because it is, somewhat illegal, locally. So it's not something that's readily available to the average person. However, and that's one reason Merkaba Retreats does it in Mexico, because the laws around that are a lot looser. But if you're at all interested in taking that next step in creating yourself anew, I sure am. And I can't wait to do this. Just contact me and I'll put you in touch with Christopher Shaw at merkabaretreats.com, who is doing incredible work out in the world. He's an incredible human. And, even if you're not planning on doing a retreat, maybe just reach out and see what he has going on. I know that he would love your support. So that's what we have going on right now. I hope that was helpful. I hope that insight into different humans and different schools of thought and different ways of thinking really gets you to do your work. What does that mean for you? How are you doing your work? What is your work? Where are you now in terms of your own personal toxicity versus the ascended master's mind that lives in peace and harmony, and that has the ability to always choose their moods and their emotions? If you're not there, I'm happy to help you. I am still seeing people in shamanic healing sessions a couple times a week. We can do it on Zoom. We could do it in person if you're in the Palm Springs area. Just let me know. I'm happy to facilitate this for you. And if it's about money, don't let it be about money. Let it be about your healing. Let it be about your journey. We can figure the other part out. You can write me a book review. There's lots of other things that you can do, but step up for yourself. You're the only one who's going to take you on this journey. So take yourself on the journey. Be responsible for self. Be responsible for your own evolution, and be proactive in taking steps to put yourself in places where you are uncomfortable, where you are growing, where you are being challenged to expand your mind, your consciousness, your personal evolution of self. Anyways, that's where we are today. I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.